Welcome to CEC lectures. Myself Dr. Preeti Japani. I am from Department of Computer Science, Aryabhatta College, University of Delhi. So as you all are aware that we are going through a series of introduction to programming using C++. So our today's topic is destructor and access modifiers. So in our previous class we have seen constructors, and we have seen two types of constructors: default constructors and parameterized constructor. Copy constructor we have not seen yet, that we'll be covering in our upcoming lectures. But the point is, whenever we talk about the term constructor, there is a complementary term which is known as destructor. So constructor is called, as you are aware that constructor is called when an object is being created. So as I have told you that destructor is completely, I can say, opposite or complementary to the constructor. A destructor is called when an object is being destroyed. Constructor is called when an object is being created. Destructor is called when an object is being destroyed. So coming to the details of this member function destructor. So as a constructor is a member function, so as destructor is also a member function, and it is defined in the similar way as that of the constructor. If you can recall, the constructor is having the same name as that of the class. Similarly, destructor is also having the same name as that of the class, but it is prefixed with a tilde sign. So tilde sign, for example, the class is employee. So if I am going to write employee, and then if I am going to write a member function with the name of employee, that's going to be a constructor. If I am going to write a member function with the tilde sign and the name employee, that is going to be an destructor. So the naming convention is differing with the help of a tilde sign. So C++ destructor cannot have parameters. Now here is a difference. Constructors can be default constructor, those are without parameters, or we can say they don't have parameters, or they can have parameter if I am talking about parameterized constructor. But C++ destructors cannot have any parameters. No modifiers can be applied on the destructors. No modifier in the sense no public, private, protected, nothing of that sort. No access modifiers can be applied on destructors. Now let's see what is the use of destructor, or why we are going to use this destructor thing. So basically destructor, as same as that of the instructor, is an instance member, or is a member function, or is an instance member function completely, and it is invoked automatically. As the constructor is invoked automatically, so is destructor. So it is invoked automatically whenever an object is going to be destroyed. So at the time of destroying the object, your destructor is going to be called a destructor. Now this is very important. A destructor is going to be the last function that is going to be executed before an object is destroyed. After destructor, there will be no kind of implementation or no processing, nothing to be executed on that particular object. So as we are going to destroy the object, the destructor must be the last function in the sequence. Then if the object is created by using new, or the constructor uses new to allocate memory which resides inside the heap memory or the free store. Now what I am trying to say here is, now if your object is created by using constructor, your constructor is going to internally it is going to use the new operator. That new operator is used to allocate the memory, and that memory is being allocated from heap memory or from the free store. So what destructor is going to do? Destructor is actually going to do something very opposite to this. That is, destructor is going to use delete operator to free that memory. Constructor is going to use the new operator in order to allocate the memory. Destructor is going to use the operator delete to free that memory. And this use of new or the use of delete is actually, we can say implicit or hidden inside the working of constructors or destructors respectively. Now coming to how are we going to use this destructor, I am going to take the same class which was taken at the time of constructor, but here I have given both the definitions. One is of the constructor employee, another one is of the destructor employee, which is tiled sign employee. So as you can see on the screen, you have two usual statements: I include IOStream using namespace standard, and within the structure of class employee I have a public section. Please recall that your constructor are to be haved inside the public section. So you have constructor, within the public section there is the constructor employee, and within this employee I have written constructor invoke. That's the you can say print statement which is going to be executed when the object is being created. Now the constructor definition is being followed by the destructor definition. Now what is the difference? As you can see in the naming convention, the difference is tilde employee. So tilde sign employee is the indication that this is the destructor, and then within that I have written cout, just a simple statement which says destructor invoked followed by a line change, and after closing bracket of this destructor there is kind of, I can say, end of the class, which is signified by a closing curly bracket followed by a semicolon. Now we have two member functions, one is constructor, another one is destructor for our class employee. Now let us see how are we going to use this in the main function. So we have seen within the main function I have just written employee E1 and employee E2, and then a return 0 followed by the curly bracket, which is giving a sign of closing of the program or closing of the main function as well. What is happening? So till this point we are very clear that whenever I am saying employee E1, constructor is invoked, and so as the output which is written at the bottom in 4 lines is kind of verifying. So employee E1 constructor invoked, employee E2 constructor invoked. So initial 2 lines of getting constructors invoked we can say executed at the time of object creation of E1 and E2, because these are the 2 lines which are written inside the constructor. Now the next thing, whenever I am going to say return 0, or I can say whenever my program is going to be end, the memory which is given to the object by constructor is going to be freed or is going to be deallocated, and hence the destructor is invoked. Here we have not I can say called the destructor explicitly, we can't do that here. So here just the we can say closing of program or ending of program or closing of that particular function which is the main function here, inside which the objects have been created. The moment that particular function is going to be closed, that means your object is going to be out of scope, it will automatically call the destructor. So first time destructor invoked for the first object, and the next time it will say destructor invoked, which signifies that 2 times the constructor were invoked while at the time of creation of object. While ending the program, the objects were destroyed, and at the time of destroying the object, your destructors are being called, which is being proven with the help of 2 statements of saying destructor invoked. Now some properties of the destructor thing is, it cannot be declared static or constant. Your destructor cannot neither be static nor constant. it does not have any argument. Now this is something which is, you know, differentiating it from constructor. Constructors can be parameterized, but destructor cannot. It is having no return type, not even void. This is the property which is similar to that of the constructors. Constructor are also not having any return type, neither not even void. And as the as we have mentioned in the lecture of constructors, that constructors should be declared in the public section of the class, because they are going to be used at the time of object creation, and object creation is actually happening in the main function. That means it is outside the class. So if it is not, we can say, return in the public section, the object will not be, you know, declared. So similarly, a destructor should be declared in the public section of the class as well, similarly as that of a constructor. Now as you have seen that I have told you that whenever I am saying employee E1, that means constructor is being called, employee E2, constructor is being called. But the question comes up, when are the situations when a destructor is being called? So there can be, you know, some situations in which destructor is called automatically. One, when the object goes out of the scope. So when is this object is going out of the scope? So object is being declared inside the main function. So as and when that function ends, the object is going out of the scope, and as and when object goes out of the scope, destructor function is automatically called. So either on ending a function, or we can say or on ending the program, or a block containing local variable is going to end. These are the three situations when an object is going out of scope. And another situation could be that a delete operator is explicitly called. So a destructor function will be automatically called when it is your object is going out of the scope, on ending a function, on ending a program, or an ending a block which is containing some local variables like those, you know, like that of those objects, or when you are going to call a delete operator explicitly, that time also your destructor function is being called. So till this point in the lecture, what we have covered is what actually a destructor is: a special member function with same name as that of the class, for, you know, preceded by a tilde sign, and that is actually signifies the destruction of the object which is being created by constructor. That object is going to be destructed with the help of your destructor, and it is going to be automatically called when an object is going out of the scope. Now, you know, whenever I am saying till this point, I have used one particular sentence maybe a couple of times, like that your destructor as well as your constructor should be inside the public section of the class. So now what is that public section if we are going to come up? So here are the three, I can say, words, or we can say in case of the C++, these are three magic words. One is public, another one is private, and third one is protected. And these three words are known as access specifier, or we can tell them as access modifiers also. Now what is the use of this access specifiers or access modifiers is these are used to assign the accessibility to the class members. So whether the member it's a data member or it is a member function, from which point of program, from which point of your file, or from which point in your application, these data members as well as member functions will be accessible. This will be decided by your access specifiers, or I can say access modifiers. So that means it is very clear that there are some certain restrictions which are going to be put on these class members, so that they are not directly accessed by the outside code or outside function. So what actually this outside is, this outside could be outside the class, or this outside could be outside the particular file or whatever. So whom is going to access what and under which situation, those all accessibility I can say dimensions are being taken, accessibility dimensions for all the class members, whether it's a data member or it's a member function, that has to be taken care by access specifier, and that's what the significance of an access specifier or access modifier is. So basically here are three types of access modifiers which are available in C++. One is public, another one is private, and third one is protected. Now coming to how are we going to specify these access modifiers, and what if we are not going to specify any access modifier. So first thing is, if we do not specify any access modifier for the members inside the class, then by default the access modifier for all the members will be private. So if the question comes up that what is the default access modifier for the class members, so it is private. Otherwise, if we are going to define any access modifier, that is going to take place. Now how are we going to define access modifier? We will say either public, private or protected. So public followed by a colon, and whatever is written in this public section is going to be under public accessibility. If we say private followed by colon, the members of the class followed by this keyword private, that means under this private section will be under the umbrella of private accessibility, and one more keyword is here which is known as protected. This keyword is actually related to inheritance property of object oriented paradigm, which we will be covering in our upcoming lectures. So by default access modifier in C++ is private, and we can have public followed by a colon. So all written all written under that public section will comes under the public accessibility, unless you change the accessibility level by specifying another access modifier. What I am trying to say here is, let's say for example we have public followed by colon integer ABC. So ABC is public, and if I am going to say after integer ABC, I will say private followed by a colon. So that means only integers ABC which are written under the public section will have public accessibility. And now as I have started with private section by saying private and colon, so whatever I am going to write now in the program will be having private accessibility. So that's the way to specify any access modifier. Now let us try to drill down in somewhat detail that what are these three access modifiers. One is, the first one comes up is public. As the name indicates, it's a public access modifier, or it's a public access specifier. That means whatever data members, whatever member functions are public, they will be available to everyone. Everyone in the sense that means outside the class they are available. The data members and the member functions declared as public can be accessible by other classes and functions too. That means these are available to be used by other classes and by other functions as well, and the public members of a class can be accessed from anywhere in the program. Now what is the way to access these public members is just by using the dot operator. So, the direct member access operator, which is dot operator, will be specified with the object of the class. So, for example, class is employee and the object is E1. So, I will say E1 dot, and whatever is given in the public section of your employee class will be accessible. For example, ABC is in the public section of the class employee. So, I will say E1 dot A is equals to 10. So, I can use that A directly by the directly outside that class by using just the dot operator along with the object of that class. So, that means that is public, it is available to everyone through the object. Now, coming to the default access modifier, which is private. So, private, whatever the private members are there, can be accessed only by the member functions inside the class. So, for example, I am having private integer a comma b comma c. So, now this a b c cannot be accessed by using dot operator, for example, E1 dot a or E1 dot b. No, we cannot access them. These private members can be accessed only by the member functions inside the class. They are not allowed to be accessed directly by any object or function outside the class. So, object, please mind here that object is an entity which is considered to be outside the class. So, any private member which is declared there in the private section are not allowed to be accessed directly by any object or functions outside the class. Only the member functions or the friend functions we will be covering soon. So, only the member functions are allowed to access the private data members of the class. Even the object of the class is not allowed to use it directly by using the dot operator. This can be done for the public members, but not for the private members. Now, coming to the protected. So, protected is having kind of, I can say, accessibility similar to that of private, in the sense that they cannot be accessed outside of its class unless with the help of a friend class. So, there is a concept of friend class. So, friend class can use those protected members. Otherwise, the any entity outside the class except the friend class is not able to access the protected members. Now, the difference is that as the class members declared as protected can be accessed by any subclass is the derived class of that class as well. So, now if the member is the public, anyone can access it even outside the class. So, that means object is allowed to access it. Now, if I am talking about, let us say, private, so private members are not allowed to be accessed even by using the object, because object is considered as an external entity of the class. But if I am coming to the protected, so this protected is having the same access as that of the private. That means it cannot be accessed outside the class except for two situations. One is it can be accessed with the help of friend class, and another one is it is available inside the derived class. So, derived class again here is a concept of inheritance which we will be covering soon. So, now what is the idea behind having these access specifiers or having this access modifiers? So, as you can see, we can have role access, or we can have limited access. That means who can be allowed to use what and when can be very well controlled with the help of public, private and protected access modifiers, and this is going to help us in achieving one very important property of object oriented paradigm on which C++ is working, and that property is I can say data one is data hiding. So data hiding is a property of object oriented programming paradigm, and that data hiding and other properties as well can be accessed with the help of these access modifiers, which are public, private and protected. So now let me summarize the lecture. Within this lecture we have seen your destructor, how it is different from constructor, what is the utility of destructor member function, and we have covered, I can say in a brief, that what are the access specifiers which are public, private and protected, and what is the utility of each one of them. So more in the upcoming lectures. Thank you for a patient hearing.